Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope everyone's doing great this beautiful Saturday morning. The beautiful people of the internet. Today is going to be a fun show. We are going to be joined by Engine Boy, but he's going to be in the comments. But I did want to showcase his project he built. And I want to talk about, is there such a thing as building a project that's better than another project to help you get hired? And we're going to take a look at his project in a bit, but we'll just kind of hang out a little bit to have everybody join. And by the way, welcome to Coffee Code and Chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to hang out, chill, talk about projects. I also want to do a big shout out to Coder Foundry because they're the ones that came up with this idea. Having one project to rule them all. And the concept being here is that you want to build something significant enough that when people see what you build, they're not going to question. They're not going to question you as a developer. And I think that's the most important thing. And by the way, if you haven't said hello in the comments yet, say hello. Let me know how my audio is working, because the worst thing I want to do is get into the stream and basically be like, oh, I can't hear anybody, or anybody can't hear me. So let me know what's going on, and say hello in the comments. But today we're going to talk about the most important topic that I think everybody should talk about is what kind of dev projects should you build to get hired. And Mr. James saying hello from Nigeria. Hello, Mr. James. I hope you're having an awesome day, or probably evening. I don't even know what time it is. It's got to be maybe, yeah, evening time. That's what it is. I'm so bad with time zones. I work for a company which is in a different time zone, and it's always trying to organize things. But hello, Engine Boy is joining us in the comment section. And so we're going to take a look at his project that he built, and then we're not going to look at everything. And to be honest, he built a pretty amazing project that I want to showcase. And I just want to preface this. I'm not showcasing this project from the standpoint like, oh, I am like a master alpha super whatever developer. That no, I'm showcasing it because that project actually has a lot of stuff that I don't even know how to do. And that's just kind of to show you that the most important thing, that when you're building projects, it's important to share and talk about your code that you wrote with other people, because it's going to help you to build a community around building cool stuff. And so I wanted to share Engine Boy's project today because it's exactly what Coder Foundry was talking about. You know, they have, actually, let me share my screen here, because I want to give them credit because they're the ones that kind of shut it out. And I have them actually on my channel. If you go to cool channels you may like on my channel, you could see the link to them because I really respect them. They do, it's a C# and ASP.NET bootcamp, which is pretty interesting because even though they do C# and ASP.NET at their bootcamp, the coolest thing about it is that their live streams that they do, they're just so much value up front, so much great information. And you don't have to go to their bootcamp to get the value, and you don't even have to do C#. And that was like the amazing part. But they have this video called One Project to Rule Them All, right? And definitely check out this video. But basically, they have this concept of building a bug tracker. And a lot of people say, like, I don't want to build a bug tracker. Like, why would I build a bug tracker? And you know what? I worked at a company where we built something similar as a bug tracker. I built one as my own personal project, and not to steal that idea, but to steal that idea. I tell my viewers, well, by the way, I always refer you to Coder Foundry, so it's not even stealing, but I call my project Project Manager versus Bug Tracker. And the idea, and I think I'm using the quotes wrong, and the idea why is because if you understand the things that you have to do to have all the features of a bug tracker. We're going to take a look at it. So stick around, because I'm going to show you Engine Boy's amazing project in a bit, like literally in a little bit. I just want to chat a little bit, make sure a bunch more people jump in. And if you didn't share this on Twitter, share it on Twitter. I think it'll be awesome. I'm actually going to go ahead and retweet my post. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And I want to share what Engine Boy built, because it will give you an idea of, first of all, what it was required to build that project. More importantly, it's also going to kind of show you the time frame something like that would take. And let me say hello here. We have Brian here. Everything sounds good. Tuning while I'm moving. Lol. Man, awesome. When you settle in, we got to get you up on the live stream. Would love to chat with you. Monique, hello. What's up? Sharon, what's up? JB Grau, hello there. Hello there. Yeah, how you doing? And so today we're going to talk about Engine Boy's project, but I did want to talk about this idea of why Coder Foundry recommends to build a bug tracker. And it's the same reason I recommend that everyone who's looking to get into web development, you have one Cornerstone project. Because I was actually saying that to him yesterday during our amazing chat we had was, listen, if I made like a super basic website, there's nothing wrong with building basic websites. We all have to start somewhere, and I have built plenty of basic websites, and that's kind of necessary step. But as you're learning, you need to have a Cornerstone project that's significant enough. And what I said to him yesterday, I said, let's say like do a blind test. Nobody could see me, nobody could see you, and I show my basic website, and you show your bug tracker project that you made. Who do you think is going to get hired? He kind of laughed jokingly, but we know the answer based on the type of project he created. That's the person he, like, especially if he's able to talk about the code that he wrote, he will be hired for sure. And so we're going to take a look at it in a second. But the first thing I want to say, when you're just starting out as a web developer, I started to do more of this now, but this idea of building in public, sharing on Twitter what you're doing, building connections, going to meetups is super important. Also, if you take notes and take your notes and mark down, because it's so easy to transform into a blog. So I'm very interested in GraphQL. And so I work at Strappy, and I always try to figure out, like, you know, the right way to use GraphQL with Strappy, what are the best practices. And so this is a topic that I was interested in. My kitty wants to say hello, but I'm sorry, kitty. Okay, you could say hello, but you can't lay on my keyboard because you always press buttons. But this idea of like, and based on what I learned, I took some notes, and I was like, you know what? Those notes already have an article. And so based on what I learned talking to our developer JS there, I wrote and updated the article on how to use GraphQL and how to create custom resolvers. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Strappy has this idea of right for the community. You could join, and if you build a cool application or like a cool use case of Strappy, and I'm just using Strappy as reference because it's the right for the community program that they have. It's a good way to get your name out there. And if you do right for the community, you could also get paid. But regardless of that, I'm sure there's other companies that do something similar, but regardless of that, by writing articles and having them be posted, you know, let's say on Strappy or, you know, Remix website or what have you, you're getting your name out there and you're building authority. You're building, you know, this presence. And you could do places like dev.to. I did a video series a while back on how to create plugins for Strappy. And so I wrote an article just showing the basics of how to get started and referencing the video. And so what I'd say, you know, the project that we're going to look that Engine Boy built in just a moment is that he did so much cool stuff in there. He could take and write mini articles about how he solved a particular problem he had and share it on Twitter, share it on LinkedIn to kind of bring kind of visibility to the project. And number two, share what he's learning and being publicly involved. And this is how people you know are a developer, not because you sit home quietly coding, but because you get involved in the community and talk about it. So without any ado, if you have questions for Engine Boy, by the way, he's in the chat. He's saying hello. Ask away in the chat. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it happen where we are able to be live together. We are speech, but that's okay. Sharon, you're so funny. that was a funny joke. I'll watch the live stream. I don't want to retell it now. I want to get to the most important part. And so let's start. So let me share my screen here. I'm like, before I get too far. So here is the bug tracker. I know, Sharon. I know you're joking. I know. I know. And then Engine Boy agrees, like, yep, writing an article is a good idea. Yeah, I just wanted to share. You don't have to, because all of this takes time. But I think getting involved, and something I see Engine Boy do on Twitter, he's involved with React Play, I think. And it's kind of cool because they're interacting. Everybody interacts together. And I think it's important to be part of the community because that's how you increase visibility. But here is Engine Boy's project. And so you're able to log in as a developer, user, or a tester. And what I like about this, because he knew that there's going to be people who are going to be just want to take a look at the application. They want to try it out. They might not want to go through this whole process of creating an account, which you can. You can't create an account. But instead, he said, hey, if you want to log in as a developer, click this button. If you want to log in as a user to kind of see how the application visually changes, click user. If you want to log in as a tester, click here. And this is one of the reasons why something like a bug tracker or project tracker or a Cornerstone project that you're going to build already starts to shine, because here we understand that he knows the concept of authentication and authorization, because depending on the type of user you are, you have certain different permissions that you could do. And when I come in here and I look at this, I'm like, oh, he knows how to work with this, how to work with a form to submit, how to have a user logged in, how to use a JWT token to, identify the user. And so, like, I just, based on seeing this, I understand that that's part of it. And same thing with like create account. So let's log in. Let's start with let's go as a developer first. And then you're going to click login. Yeah, my internet a bit slow, so it's might take a minute, but it's okay. So here's, another like cool part. We jump into his dashboard. I think I zoomed in enough, like, so you guys and girls and everyone on the internet could see better, but I'm gonna zoom in a little bit just so we could have a clear picture. So, he has his avatar, it says who he is, a developer. You have the dashboard, manage, bug trace, projects, users, features requested. You have the logout here. And here he has, and I believe he used charts.js. We could ask in the chat. And yeah, so he's here. Engine Boy's here in the chat, so ask any questions away. But I wanted to showcase because it's such an amazing job he did. And so he has this chart of total users. And so he shows like total number of developers versus testers versus users. And then here he's charting, the comments, how many features, projects, and so on. And this is using charts.js, which is awesome. He has these graphs, so you could visually get an idea of what is happening in the application, how many people are using it, and so on. And I think it's pretty awesome. And then when you go to manage, it's gonna, and again, my internet is a bit slow, so it just will take a moment to load. But when it's managed, if you had data here, feature page, you would be able to do it here. Then you have the bugs traced. And so you could see he has this amazing form. And again, looking at this, and we'll look at the code in a little bit. We're going to take a look at the code. But you already start to get a feel like this is a pretty well done and thought out project. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, look, he has pagination here. He has, date fields. He has a search feature where you could search, the things that you're searching for. You could add a bug, right? Because if you're logged in as a developer, I believe you could be able to do this. Test hello from form from coding after 30. Select project, and we're just gonna use because I didn't add a project, you can't, but I'm just gonna add a bug. Oh, actually, he added this yesterday. Show me the app, remix project. So I'm gonna select that one, and priority is gonna low. Test. It has to be, look at that. He had a little check here. You see minimum of 5 characters. Test is only 4. And so it didn't let me submit the form. So like I already could see that he understands this idea of form validation and how this works. Test, bug, whatever. Let's click submit. And it's going to do its thing and make things happen. And so bug added successfully. And if loading works for loads slow for a while, it's because my internet's slow. I'm streaming my music. I'm doing all this stuff. So it's more of that. And yes, and people already loving the project because it is pretty awesome. So Simon says, great looking project. I like the login options. Monique, really nice project, Engine Boy. And he's like, yes, Endpoint, nice. And we got to get Endpoint on the stream. Awesome. He's amazing dude. We had him on the stream before. Great conversation. So look at that. So we just added, and I called it test bug again in the remix project, and it's status pending, which is awesome. You could also check your projects here. You could add a project. So again, this concept of, you know, everything that we're doing, I also understand that he knows CRUD very well. Create, read, update, and delete, because this is showcased by the fact that he has forms where you could either add a project, delete a project, submit a project, and so on. And that's pretty awesome. And then we have his users section. So it shows all the users that are part of the application. And then you could also request features, you know, and again, like I said, and check this out, like little detail to this, like you click read more, it shows the rest of the text. I mean, that is fantastic. And I'm going to log out because I want to now log in as user. And we log in as user. And so for the user, the view is a little bit different. And as a user, you're able to see the bugs. But I think I got a text message. You're able to see the bugs and stuff like that. I was like, my phone, I need to disable that because my phone's playing music. And it's just annoying if it's going to beep every time a message comes in. So again, zoom in too much. He has his dashboard, and now I'm logged in as a user. I'm able to, and check this out. So this idea of what are you authorized to do? And as a user or tester, I can only view content that that I have created. And the only person, I mean the developer, and the only person that could update is the project developer who's responsible for that project. So as a user or a tester, I can't go back and mess something up by deleting something or updating something I'm not supposed to. So this idea of like authorization based on the user type is really, really cool. And then he has, you know, bugs traced, projects that you could view, and so on. And then let's take a look at testers. And then let's log in as a tester. Elon Musk, I love it. And then again, you could only view the content as a tester. And I bet you could, you know, check this out. And what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and share the link in chat so you all could check out the amazing project Engine Boy did. And there's so much functionality, so much features. And when you're looking at this goes beyond the basic website because he handles authentication. He has different views. That means he understands routing. More importantly, the fact that you have certain users able to do certain things and certain can't. He understands the concept of authorization because we have the form here. You need to provide your username and last name. He understands authentication, right? There's so much stuff that he does. And because you know, we take a look at the view, there's so many different sections, and you know, you have to understand how to, and this was built with React on the front end, and for back end he used Python and Django. But this idea that there's state of the application and different views might rely on different parts of the state. So understanding state management and how he has done it is super, super also important. And he just said in the chat, yep, you can add comments on the projects. Also, you could update profile data. So many features. Yeah, and point is like, does anybody feel like issue tracking is a complete job and stuff? Yeah, 100%. And that's why it's important to have an application that allows you to do that. And so this is like phenomenal and pretty amazing. And it is awesome. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is because when you're building, and we're going to jump into the code in just a minute, and if you want to showcase any specific other features, let me know. But I want to also like dive into the code and chat about the code. But everybody really doing a lot of like thumbs up, really loving the projects. I think I'm getting thumbs up on this because of the awesome project. I think people are not really caring about what I'm saying, but they care about, wow, that project Engine Boy did is amazing. And so before we look at the code, here's the thing that I want to say. It's very important to look, everybody's great job, Engine Boy. I love it. And so this is what I want to share with you. Anyone who's looking to transition into web development, looking to, my goodness, we have the one and only Coding Addict, aka John Smilga, in the house. We are doing later a podcast. Power Hour podcast is going to be back. It's going to be back. Let me before we jump into the code to see what Engine Boy did. Yes, we are going to be doing Power Hour podcast. I can't think and type. This is like a disability I have that I'm like, how do I forget it. I'm not even going to type right now. I'm just going to finish making sense by speaking into this mic. I was going to pull up the exact time. I believe it's 4 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. California time, whatever that is. I'm so bad with time zones. And Engine Boy saying to John Smith, just been watching your MERN course. Yes. John's course, I know he hates it when I say this, but like his courses are some of the best, well-explained courses made. I love him. They're very good. And endpoint, I just said the time, 4 p.m. Eastern Central Time, and then 2 p.m. California time. I'm like, yeah, 2 p.m. PST. Thank you. Thank you, John. I'm very bad with, yes, thank you for all the time conversions. I love it because I suck at it. I'm always paranoid that I'm going to schedule something that I'm not supposed to. So yes, and it's going to be live on Coding Addict's YouTube channel. So definitely be there. It's going to be awesome. In my opinion, the #1 web development podcast of all time. Rival Syntax podcast for sure. I'm just going to say, Wes Boss, you better watch out because we're going to, like, literally, Wes Boss is here. I know you can't even see where we are in terms of our podcast right now, but we're going to catch up. We're going to get there. It's going to be amazing. But that was a joke. Time sometimes blends together. No, I totally get it. It's actually today, Sharon. It's going to be today. We kind of just wanted to get just back. And great to see you guys are back. Yeah, I'm probably the most excited person about it. It's going to be great. And so let me bring up some of the code here and take a look at what Engine Boy did. And we're not going to cover everything. And there's 2 reasons we're not going to cover everything in the code. For one, I might 100% not know everything Engine Boy did because I don't know everything. I'm also still learning. I'm still working. But we are going to take a look at the code. And so let me switch screens. If you have any questions, definitely ask in the chat. He is here. And the issue of having your audio running through your phone is that you have phone calls coming in. And it happens. Let me turn the music back on. You know, we're super professional here. Not gonna lie. You know, that's how we do it. Everything is just a mess. And so we're gonna jump into the code. And what I was saying, we're gonna take a look at the project and we're gonna kind of see what he did, just so you could have and see the scope of it. And I was gonna troll everybody and say that he built this project like in 2 weeks, because anybody could learn to code in 3 months to get a $1 billion year job for sure. And so you could sit down literally on the weekend in a couple of hours and create this project. But I did not want to do that, even though it would be hilarious. It's not fair. The biggest issue that I find on YouTube with development is how people make it out how easy it is. It does people a disservice because it sets the wrong expectations. And when people see that building certain project takes a lot of work and time, especially as they get more complex, the bigger they get, the more you have to mentally manage, is that, oh my God, like I just want to grab someone and go like, what are you doing? Like if someone's learning to code, don't tell them something that's actually hard going to be easy, because they're going to quit too early. And so anyway, enough ranting. Let's jump into the code here. Let's take a look. Let's check it out. How do I switch screens again? I press a button and then the screen goes, psh. Well, it doesn't make that sound effect, but it'll be cool, like, psh. Anyway, here we go. So here's the code, and this is his bug tracker application. And you could see all the dependencies and stuff he used. Here you could see he mentioned that he used chart
JS. He's using Axios to make all his requests. He's using Firebase as a way to store image. He also using JWT code because there's like, actually, it's cool. I didn't actually know this until recently, but JWT token actually, like, let me kind of, dude, endpoint. If he wrote everything from scratch, instead of taking 3 to 4 months as it took to make this project, it would take a year. But endpoint, he loves, like, so endpoint is awesome, dude. He's actually, did you graduate computer science yet? I know you were so close, but he's a computer science student, also transitioning into web development. And we definitely gonna have him on, but he likes to do stuff from scratch, where I would just like use Strappy, which is hilarious. But anyway, and so using Lodash, and then obviously the normal React stuff. And he used Redux, which is pretty amazing. I think that's like, Redux in itself is like really hard. So I definitely imagine that, and I know it took him a long time to build. And yeah, you may be a factory worker, but you are one smart factory worker. Anyway, and so let's take a look at the source here and see all the folders. And again, we don't have to understand all of the code, but the general kind of idea is to see that there's a lot of stuff he did. You know, he has his actions, his components, and we'll take a look at some of them. He has his configuration for Firebase. He has helper functions, I'm assuming for filters. Or, okay, cool, storing the value keys there. And then he has his hooks to use filter. So so looking at this, like, I could tell, okay, he understands how to create custom hooks in React, which is awesome. You know, we take a look at his routes. Again, I know he understands using React Router, which is pretty awesome, you know, and he has his private routes and public routes. And then he has, for all his endpoints, or for his services, he has the API endpoints here. So he doesn't have to, he basically uses them in the form of a variable instead of like passing this directly, which doesn't make sense. Always want to put in a variable, because that way you have it all in one place where you could change, rather than hard coding it all over your application. He has his function, and I like that he used class over here. Fantastic. And this is kind of cool. Like, I never use classes, and I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I'm saying that I probably need to practice writing more class-based stuff. But it's pretty awesome. And inside his class, he has his methods, you would call them, or functions, whatever, that handle login, handle sign up, which is pretty awesome. And then he creates that auth service that he could call from other projects. And that is amazing. He has a similar approach. He created a custom, I think it's this one. He created a custom Axios service because he wanted very easily be able to pass the token instead of constantly putting it in a header of every request. So at least this does it automatically. And so he created other services. And again, this is a massive project. And so we're not going to go through everything in every little detail, but I just want to share with you the functionality that we saw, the complexity that we could see in the code here. And when I say complexity, like a lot of moving parts and pieces. And so he has all his services here. We saw the routes. And then let's jump into app.js. And he has his routes. He has public routes, which basically take you to the login page or sign up page. Then he has his private routes. If you go to the private routes, it will show all the routes for all the, let's see here, login page route, navigate. Hold on a second. I'm trying to, okay, he's actually using Redux to get state if the user's logged in. I think that's pretty awesome. Actually, let me see app. And I'm just trying to navigate to, what the hell? How did I make that happen? That's so weird. Okay. How do I split my screen here? Somebody help. Never. Oh, here's the X button. I hate when I'm not a big particular user of that feature on VS Code. But anyway, let's go to app, go to definition. Oh my God, where am I? Why are you opening? Oh, I see. It doesn't like me. I have some weird settings. Index.js. App. Then inside app, we have the routes. If logged in, go to private routes. Private routes, where they... Oh, okay. I get it. Why it wasn't taking me out, so I have to find it here. Blah, blah, blah. That's inside. What do you got? Your private routes. Routes. Private routes JS. Another thing you could do, you could just type to search. Like if you hate looking through the files on the left, you could type to search. So here's all the private routes, and this is where I was going. So once you are logged in and you're authenticated, you have access to this primary layout where you have all the components that make up this logged in section. And then when you're logged out, this is like the public routes. And if you want to do something, you have to log in. And now when you log in, you are using everything behind private routes. And I think that's awesome because it showcases, you know, he understands routing. He understands how to work with components. He understands state because he is using Redux. And what I would say, like Redux adds a level of complexity, and it's amazing that he used it, but I will guarantee you that it was something like that took a lot of time to set up, a lot of work, and a lot of like learning if you've never done it before. So please be aware if you're learning or starting out React, learn React first, then add Redux. Don't try to learn everything together, but it's definitely like okay to use it. But I just know when I first learning Redux, my mind was like, what the hell? Oh, Jesus, what is happening right now? But anyway, so we see all the routes, all the pages, and he has all his components that he created for alerts, buttons, data picker, and so on. And as you could see, it is a huge project. Just huge project. He has a store here for using Redux, creating his root reducer to be able to create a store, which is awesome. I think he's also using Thunk middleware, which is also another thing that people are like. I mean, he did so much stuff here, and the fact that he added Redux added a whole level of complexity to the app that it's like, man, I'm so impressed. And I was literally telling him, like, the thing that you build. And by the way, here's another thing. When we were talking yesterday, here's like, this is why I want to tell you why you should, number one, build a Cornerstone project, which is complex enough where it's like a bug tracker, project manager, which definitely has to show authentication and authorization, like Engine Boy has showed here. And also this idea of authorization being like which users authorized to do what, the routing. That's all the stuff you need to know. And sometimes when you make a basic website, nothing's wrong with it, but when you make a basic website, you don't get to hit all those features. And so another thing I was telling him, like I met with him yesterday after my last stream and we chatted, and he was like, oh, okay, like he'll like open up a component, he'll take a look at it, and he'll just explain to me what everything is and what everything does. And he'll be like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, this is where I did. This is the global filter for that you could use, and he's telling me this is what I did, what I used, and he was able to go through his code and talk about it. And what I'm telling you right now, and what I'm gonna tell you right now is that when you build a Cornerstone project, which is significant enough, and this is another thing that I was telling Engine Boy yesterday, is that as the project gets bigger, your responsibility to manage it gets harder. And I guarantee you, majority of you out there, and I done it bajillion times, a lot of times when you get to a point where your project starts to get more complex, you just stop and you move on to a different project because the mental load to deal with that is a lot. And so just kudos to finishing this project and seeing it to the end, because that's an accomplishment in itself. And that in itself showcases that, he is able to start a project from start to finish and deliver. This is the most important part. Let me go to a bigger screen so I could rant about this. This is one thing that I like about Engine Boy. And so, by the way, let us know where you got this idea. I know I give a lot of credit to Coder Foundry to build this project, but this is the thing that I'm going to say to you. This blows my mind, is that when you get hired, you're getting hired to deliver. You have customers that are paying the company because they expect a product. If somebody else, it has a lot of unfinished projects, I'm definitely guilty of it. I'm definitely 1000% guilty of it. Here's one thing I'm going to say about Engine Boy. He took on a big project, and I'm going to break the ice. I'm going to tell you, it took him 3 months or almost 4 months to complete it because it was a lot of hard work. So all of you out there who just starting out to learn to code, please understand it's hard. It takes work, and it's hard, right? Coding is tough. It's not easy. You have a lot to learn. And what I want to tell you, when you look at this project now, you're like, how did he figure it out? How did he start it? How did he started by building one piece at a time, maybe building the login form without any functionality. And when I call back, and think back, I looked at this other project that I worked at my last company that we built, that I was responsible until I left. 90% of the build I built by myself, and it's so massive. And if I just look at it like right now, I'm like, oh my God, how did I do it? I don't understand how it worked. Like, what? It's too huge. How did it happen? But if you rewind back and you start on day one, I literally started by the smallest tiny component, build this, get this basic layout. And over time, you refactor, you add new features, you add stuff, and piece by piece, like Lego blocks, you get this massive projects. And so the reason why I'm saying is, like, don't be intimidated, even though it's intimidating, is that you get here by one step at a time over a long period of time. It took Engine Boy almost 4 months to do this, but this is the biggest #1 kudos that, and oh, yeah, I mean, that's amazing. He says, and yeah, when I was working, I wasn't familiar with a lot of front-end things or the back-end things, so I got stuck like 4 or 7 days and then continue. Yeah, and so you spend that time looking stuff up, and he mentioned to me in his call, using the documentation, trying things out, making sure that when you don't copy and paste code, but you just understand what the code does that you're using, and that adds time. But here's the biggest kudos, I keep trying to get that out of my mouth, is that he went from start to finish, and he has a project that is deployed, and it's huge, it's amazing, it covers everything. And I would say to you, if he sat down and showed this project, and by the way, he's already employed, but if he was going to apply for a job and he sat down and he used this project to demonstrate, and when people ask you questions, Coder Foundry is really big on saying this. It's like, hey, when people ask you, well, like, how did you handle authentication? You could be like, well, in my project, I used, Axios to do whatever, I got the JW token, whatever the process is, but you refer back to your project and you show them your code. You're like, oh yes, this is how I handled it. I was in code, like, and you demonstrate it to them, like, you show to them how everything works, and that's the most important part to do. And so I just want to say, man, thank you, Engine Boy, for showcasing and sharing this amazing project with us, because it is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. It is amazing. It is, is so much functionality, and I know that it took you a long time, because anybody who, by the way, like, this is another thing I was talking to him about. Like, whenever someone talks to other developers who are real developers and not like internet jerks, and there's a lot of us, I might be one of them, I don't know. When you talk to real developers, they're only going to give you like good, positive feedback when you share your projects. Like, even if they're like, because they understand the struggle, they know that it's hard, they respect your time as well, and they want to help you to be a better developer, especially if you're working somewhere on the team, because if your teammates help you to become a better developer, the whole company wins. The only people that say like, oh, I could have done this in a day, or this is too easy, or whatever, people are just talking crap. You know what I mean? They're just talking shit because they don't respect like the truth of what it really takes to become a developer. And I want to mention that because I love YouTube. I'm here on YouTube, and my biggest thing is always being truthful and honest. And the reason I did my YouTube is because I wanted to have a record of when I started being unemployed, looking for a job to get hired. Like, let's just, I was some dude who didn't even have a job. Like when I started this YouTube channel, let's go through memory lane for a second. Let's go through memory lane here. How do I switch my screen? So, oh, nice. They say that Engine Boys, what did I switch to that screen? They say that it looks good and responsive, and yep, passes the mobile test. And I believe it's because actually, this is cool because you did mention you used a Tailwind Material UI library, which is kind of cool because I didn't even think there was a thing like that until Engine Boy told me. I said, there's a library which takes Material UI and has Tailwind styling to it. Definitely check it out. If you want to throw a link, Engine Boy, to that thing, I think it'd be cool. But that could be part of the reason why a lot of the stuff just works being responsive, is because you went ahead and used a library to help with that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because let me tell you, I'm going to tell you all this right now so you hear me now. If he were to write everything from scratch, this project would take a year. It would take a year. Just understand that things take a long time to make. And whenever, by the way, someone uses something in their project, this is what they're thinking in their mind. It's like, look, I could either make it myself, where number one, it's going to add additional 2-3 months of development. And then also, I don't know if it's going to have any bugs or not. Or do I use this other service that somebody, or NPM package that somebody already built? It's very popular. Everybody uses it. And I know that I'm going to save massive amount of time to use it. And that's perfectly fine to do. Very rarely there's places where you're going to be building everything from scratch because it's unrealistic. I know a huge company that uses Material UI. They're not going to build their own thing from scratch. They might rather have Material UI and then be able to style it the way that they want. Don't worry. A lot of us get English here. Yeah, Tailwind is really good for responsive. Yeah, so I'm actually really in love with Tailwind now. But check this out. Here we go. I'm gonna scroll through the videos. Wow, I made a lot of videos. But I started this YouTube channel 4 years ago, and I don't even know, if you look at this video, why previews? Jesus. Okay, let's pay ads on somebody else's. This was me 4 years ago. Some dude in the car trying to figure out this whole development thing, and it took time and it took a process. And so the biggest reason for me starting this channel is to be honest about the truth of what it takes to become a developer, not to give you false hope, but to tell you, look, it's really, really hard. You're going to have to do a lot of work. You're probably not going to be happy with the first job you get. It just takes time, especially the older you are and the newer you are. So I started really focusing on coding seriously around 36. And I wish I've done it earlier, but I didn't. But it still took me until 39 to get my first job. And so I wanted to share that and show you that we all start somewhere. We all have to go through the process. And coming back to that point, saying when you're talking to real developers is when they will never talk badly about your code unless they're assholes. And I didn't want to swear, but I'm just going to say it. Or if they're the legit developer and they're going to help you out, they're going to give you good feedbacks. And this is part of the reason why everybody should be going to meetups. I went to a meetup with Brian. I'm back in Texas now. I went to Remix meetup. This is why I'm all about Remix. We're building Remix application right now because I want to write a talk about it and present it at a meetup. I think it'll be fun. And also there's other meetups in my area, like React.js meetup, JavaScript meetup. I'm just going to go to all of them, because I think it's important, especially if you want to get hired. The best and the fastest way to get hired is to know someone that could help you. And apparently just sending out your resume won't do that. It's like blindly shooting in the dark. And so making connections is huge. And that's a great question. Mr. James said, how many hours did you put in daily? And I bet it's probably a significant amount. Did you go to the one in Austin, Alexander? Or in your area? Yeah, but going to meetups is super awesome. I love it. I think everybody should do it. And yeah, if you have more questions for Engine Boy, ask him away. Oh, Richmond, VA. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, and here's another great point Engine Boy made. So a lot of people, look, when we switching careers, we don't have the freedom to work 24/7, and so realistically, he worked mostly 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 daily, 3 to 4 months, and some days didn't because he has his full-time job. And so here's another thing: if you're looking to switch careers, you're looking to get web development. This is something I had to do. I literally, first of all, let me tell you this. By the way, you guys and girls and everybody here on the internets are going to be blown away when you hear this, and probably not. You're probably not going to be blown away. You're probably like, yeah, that's what you do. And so first of all, when I started learning to code, I had a full-time job. So I would literally, I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So in between classes, I would sit down and like read something or watch a video or code something and then go back, teach a class and then come back. But then like when eventually I got my first development job, this is crazy. Don't do this. Don't do this. I had imposter syndrome so strong that I worked my developer job, but I also worked part-time at a supermarket because I was afraid that I was going to get fired like any moment now. Any moment I was going to get fired. I was like, couldn't believe it. And I don't do that. I just focus on one job. And I ended up working there for a year and a half. I should have left earlier. The company was pretty insane. The first company that I worked for, a lot of crazy horror stories, including yelling, which is always fun at the workplace. Definitely nowhere near how compared to like the company I work at now, which is amazing. So yeah, and so if anybody else would like to submit a project to chat about and to talk, definitely let me know. Submit it here. And if you're wondering like what are we working on, so I got inspired by Engine Boy's bug tracker, and I'm learning to discover Remix. And I know we started a project in the past before that we didn't finish, our team manager. We're going to come back to it, and most likely we're going to redo it in Next.js. Our backend, our API is going to be the same because we're using Strappy, so I don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to not focus too much on create React app anymore because I think nowadays jumping to Next.js is okay. If you're brand new, I still recommend do one React course just to get the basics. But Next.js is like pretty popular, and Remix. So for Remix idea, what I was thinking, like we need to make something that has some like, decent functionality, not from the standpoint just of Remix, but if someone were to see this application, be like, oh, wow, this is a pretty cool thing. And I understand that you at least know like CRUD and some of the advanced functionality. So what I'm going to do for our Remix app that we're going to be building here, we're going to make an event tracker, right? Event tracker instead of a bug tracker, because I want to start going to meetups. I want to start going to events. So I want to create something where anyone could add an event that they like or they want to go to. And then I'll have a database of events that I could basically have basic information on who to contact, where is it happening? Is it live? Is it, happening online? And then have a way to be able to basically plan talk ideas that I could track based on the event. So if let's say it's, StrappyConf, because we do an event, I could have that event. And then on the side, I could have, okay, talks ideas that I want to submit. And then you could click the talk ideas. And then you could like, okay, I could write my talk right there. And so you could manage events and the talks that you want to submit in your event. I think I'm going to do that. I think it'll be pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice. Sharon, this is the funny part. The first place I worked for, you couldn't even go to the bathroom because we didn't have a cleaning person in the office to ever clean. So nobody ever used the bathroom in that building. And I was so glad when we finally went remote due to the thing that happened that made everybody like have to stay home. But that was insane. And coding with Khan, I'm now dev working at a company building websites for some of the biggest football teams in UK. Oh, that's awesome. Congrats. Love to hear like your story and how you got to where you got. Now, there you go. I built a few clones on YouTube and learned React and then started. Yeah. And most important is like building those projects yourself. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And yeah, that's a great tip. It is all about having a great portfolio, but the most important part, if nobody knows your portfolio exists, they will never find you. It's also about having the visibility, not being afraid to get in touch with people and being able to talk about your code. So this is why I wanted to showcase Engine Boy's project. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do like live chat with him today. But when I talked to him yesterday, he went through his project, talked about every line of his code, told me what he did. Like, he's definitely knows more about his project than I do. Did a lot of cool stuff. And the way he talked about it, if I was interviewing him, the one impression I would not get the impression that he didn't know what he's doing, right? Based on what he was showing me and what he was telling me. I think that's super important to do. So this is a great question. So I would say if you really believe in the company you work here, and this is exactly something that I had to make a decision about. So I'll give you a story. So my first company I worked for, I worked too long, especially if it's your first job. I worked there for 1.5 years. After a year, you should move, get a different job because you're going to get a pay raise faster that way. But I didn't. And then if I didn't work at my dream job, which I work at Strappy now, strappy.io, that's their website. That was my dream job. The fact that I got hired there, it still blows my mind. And so here's the thing, like the last job I had that I left because I had to join Strappy, when Strappy made the offer, I went to my boss and I said, hey, this is what Strappy's paying me. He said, listen, I'll just pay you the same, whatever, just stay. He said, just stay. And I was like, you know what? Like, it was a tough decision. Not really, because I really love Strappy, which is insane how much I love Strappy. Maybe like I need to see a personal like psychiatrist about how much I love Strappy. I think that's a different separate issue don't want to talk about. But basically at some point you're going to get to a point where you make enough money that you could be like, okay, do I really need more money and work at a company that like, so stay and get paid the same and work at the company where I love, and maybe you get raises, but it wouldn't be the same as if you left and went somewhere else. But you really love the people, you love the environment, you love the product. Versus like, oh, I'm just going to keep switching every year and climb that income. And both strategies are good. But for me, I'm old and I hate dealing with idiots. And so when I find a company where I enjoy the people genuinely and I see that we have an awesome team, to me, having that peace of mind, having that like level of not being stressed out because everybody's understanding really cool means a lot to me. So I'd much rather keep that job rather to switch somewhere which pays me more. But the preface for that would be, or caveat to that would be, is that you're making enough money that you're able to live what is a comfortable life for you. So if it was my first company, my first tech company, by the way, that I got hired, it was terrible. I got paid $13.75 an hour, which was exactly what I got paid at the supermarket when I worked there. And it was crazy. And so definitely that's not enough money to even pay rent. So I had to like literally rent out a room rather than an apartment at the time. This was like 3.5 years back or so. But I needed to find a place to start. And so that place, I was like, let me get the hell out of here as fast as possible. I need to move up. But when you start making like, money that you're like, okay, I could pay my bills. I could, buy a game once in a while, whatever. I could go get a beer or a burger or whatever it is. And I don't have to worry that I'm going to be not able to pay my next month's rent. Then you could consider that. It's like, do I want to get a job that pays more? Or do I want to stay where I work? But it's definitely personal preference. And like, I'm staying with Strappy as long as I can. As long as they don't let me go. Oh, please. But because I just really love the company. I love the fact that we remote. I love like the people there. So it's pretty awesome. So this is a good point. Coding with Khan says, I love my company, but can definitely tell I'm being paid as a junior, but saying that it's all about the learning in the start, the money will come in time. And that's 100% true. So I went from making $13.75 an hour, which is about $20,000 a year, which you can't do anything on, to My next job after that was making $80,000 a year. So the money will come. But here's the thing, like, how much suffering do you have to put up with before you move on? And so what I would say, if you've been there for a year and a half, think about it, and especially if you're getting offers for places that, you know, are going to like pay you more. The most important part is making sure that you are being paid for your value that you provide. Definitely, you know, I get it. I took a pay cut when I started working at my first company. But I did it knowing because the experience to me was more valuable. But as I became better and got to a point where I was like, hey, I'm definitely undervalued here. They don't respect my time. They don't respect my skill. So I have to go find another job. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. Yeah, no, awesome. Keep the conversation going. Like, this is why I love live chats, because I love to chat with everyone, because I think everybody has such a great input, and together as a community, we grow together. So what is everybody building, or what's everybody up to? Let me know in the comments. Why like, we got to figure out how to do voice chat. Maybe like Google. Don't tell me Discord. I can't do Discord. Discord number one. Every time I try to talk on Discord, my audio doesn't work. Don't ask me why. Like yesterday, trying to chat with Engine Boy, it was my fault, but I took 20 minutes for me to get Discord to work. But it'll be cool to figure out, way to chat. Slack, Huddle, or even Google Teams. That's a good idea. Yeah, so that is another great question, Alexander. So, like, depending who you talk to, some people like, there's no pending the recession, and I think it's BS. It's already here, probably. And what I would say is, if you are like, such a hard topic because it's very easy to be optimistic, but the truth is, a lot of companies, I was talking to somebody yesterday and he was like, oh, like I asked him, how's everything going? He's like, everything's good. He works at Shopify, and Shopify just had like massive layoffs. And he's like, yeah, but it's a lot of companies that are laying people off is because they overstaffed or like what have you. And he talks about like, oh, it's going to be short-lived. And I'm like, no, a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of companies are actually, freezing hiring. So it is going to be tough. And what I would say to your point is, it's a choice you have to make. For me, I would probably keep my part-time job. I would hate my life because you would have no free time. You would be working at one place, working at the other, at least until you feel like you got it in the bag and, and push through it. But what I would not recommend right now is to quit your job before you have another job, or quit your job just because you want to spend more time learning, unless you have money saved, because things are not going to get easier. They're going to get harder. And so the best thing we could do is to basically, focus on skilling up and making sure that we're also not overspending and trying to like manage our expectations that it might take us a little bit longer to get hired in the time that we're going. And we should probably make sure that we keep our job, and we probably make sure that we could pay our bills, and we could probably make sure that, we're not like creating a situation where if us getting a new job doesn't work out, we're in trouble. But it's definitely important to make sure that you keep that in mind. And with that being said, listen, I know this is annoying to hear, and I gotta say it, but the best way to be able to get more opportunities is to know more people and to publicly get involved in coding meetups, meeting people on Twitter, on LinkedIn, chatting with them, sharing projects, getting involved that way so people know you. They could put your face to a name and build a relationship where over time you can be like, hey, are there any jobs in your area, or do you know anybody who's hiring? And I even met people through YouTube where I had interviews because I met another developer on YouTube, and I asked, hey, is your company hiring? And they're like, oh yeah, I think you'll be a good fit, and they would help me out. So definitely, one of the most important things here is understanding learning to code is one thing, but then also making yourself publicly visible is another one. And that could be like a whole live stream you could do about. And I did a bunch of streams in the past that you could check out that talk about all of this, and we'll do more about this. I think this is a great discussion to be had. And so something that I started to be doing, and this is something like a good way to build a connection and build your reputation and authority. And this is something that I'm literally practicing and doing. So here's my strategy. Go to meetups, see what they're building, especially if it's a meetup. Let's say I went to one that's hosted by Remix, and they obviously building stuff with Remix. And so you know what? I'm going to build a project Remix and, use a CMS with it because I think it'll be kind of cool. And then I tweeted, I was like, hey, I went to this awesome meetup, to the person who set it up. And I was like, I'm looking to build this project. I think it's going to be fun. I didn't even ask about speaking, but they reached out to me like, hey, if you ever like to, because we love to hear other people's experiences building stuff with Remix, we'd love to have you give a talk. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so now I was like, hey, wait a second, light bulb went on. Why not go to meetups, participate in the community, and then try to give something back where you do a talk, or you write a blog about what you're doing, or even make a video online, whatever it is, and you share it with them. They share it, you share it on LinkedIn, and now you start to have these points of contacts where you start to have authority, because it's like, I'm not just some dude who's sitting at home, but I'm a person who's out in the community where I'm giving presentation, even if they're on a smaller key, small meetup. So I'm sharing what I'm talking about. So building that authority does go a long way. I am really big on, and it's unfair, but it's about who you know. It's like 80% of the battle, if not 90. And so it's important to kind of develop those networking skills. And, that was the reason for me doing YouTube. And you could check out my first initial videos, let's go back to look at, that was me before, a guy who doesn't know what I'm doing. And now it's me. I still don't know what I'm doing, but over the period I've been on YouTube and publicly talking about coding, I'm starting to be recognized. I'm starting to build this authority. And I'm not saying everybody should do it through YouTube. You could do it through blogging. You could do it on Twitter. You could do it on LinkedIn, but you have to make yourself available to build that authority. And then let's see here. Alexander says, thanks, Sharon. I'm a little nervous, but it's not going to stop me from learning at least. Yeah, that's free, huh? And great advice. Well, man, thank you, Alexander, for just being in the stream, and a lot of great questions. It's always awesome for me to see people participating. So let's see, any other questions? I know we're hitting an hour here. Mark, and let me know, because I'll continue the chat going. But if not, we could, finish up. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you're just jumping on the stream at the tail end of it, I record all of my streams. You could always check them out at my YouTube channel. Today we talked about why everyone should have one Cornerstone project, what it is. We showcased Engine Boy's phenomenal bug tracker application that he built. We looked at the code, to see everything that he did. And, this idea of, and I quickly share the screen, building a type of project which showcases different things that For instance, we talked about this idea, he has a login form, he has to create account form. So he understands this concept of authentication by creating a user, passing JWT token, giving the person the ability to log in, to be based on the user that you log in, you have different views or different actions that they're authorized to do. And so, this is the amazing application he made. You could see all the details, you could add bugs, which means to me that he understands how to do full CRUD, create, read, update, delete. Also with this idea of routing, the way his application is built. So what I was saying from the standpoint, if I build a simple website and then he shows this project and we both going to the same job and we're using it as a talking point for getting hired, he's going to get hired, no doubt out of my mind. And then the coolest thing, when we took a look at his code, especially when I chatted with him yesterday, when he was showing me his code, wherever he went, he's like, whatever he was showing, he's able to explain to me what the code did, what things it accomplished, and the way he talked to me about his code that he wrote. And by the way, he also wrote a backend in Django and Python. I don't know Python, so we're not even going to look at it at all, but he did a full stack application. And the coolest thing is, like, he's able to go through all of his code and explain, you know, what I did, what I did. I didn't do anything. What he did, you know, and talk about it in a way where I never had that, like a thought in my mind that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And this is why it's important to have a Cornerstone project. Got kicked out a couple of times. I don't know by who, unless it was something else. But hold on, let me get to Kevin R's question. So that's what we talked about. If you're catching tail end of the stream, you could always rewatch all my streams. They're always live on the channel. But let me see what Kevin says. I have a question. Sorry, I got kicked out a couple of times. Same people talk about going for a job with less applicants, like email developer or WordPress. How do you feel about that statement? A job, internet. So Coding Face in my mind is a genius. And he was the one who literally made it a thing where he would mention other jobs that are not full developer jobs, like email or WordPress, content manager, what have you, and doing those jobs. I think it's smart. I think so. If you start learning to code, it might take you 2 to 3 years to get to a point where you're going to get hired. It might. Maybe you'll do sooner, but I want to be realistic with you. I much rather overestimate than underestimate, because you're not getting a job in 3 months, like whatever. But to be an email web developer, by the way, I hear like it's actually very difficult, because every email you have to take into consideration all the different browsers, all the email providers to make it look right. So what I would say, and I'll give you a real life example about this in just a minute, is that will get you to making money faster. And now you're getting paid doing something that's related to coding. Maybe it's not your dream job, but you're already working. That means that whatever you do at that job is going to count towards your experience, and you could still study, and your goal should definitely be to get to that next level, to the next job. So I do agree with it. And I think if you've been trying to get a job, or you anyway, and you can't get hired, or you just try to get a job, just apply to those positions. See if you get hired. And if you don't, who cares? But it's just increasing your chances. And I really agree with that. And so to add to that, this is what some people don't know. My first real developer job was at 39, where I worked as a React developer. But prior to that, I first started with an internship at this marketing company in Greenwich, Connecticut, working with WordPress. And my job was literally changing the theme inside WordPress and maybe adding a little bit of custom CSS, maybe a little bit of custom, not like HTML, and then maybe a little bit of custom JavaScript. But mostly it's like changing and managing content, but it's still counted on my resume as a front-end position working with WordPress. And so while I worked there, it wasn't the job that I wanted. I got paid. I got to learn, and of course I learned at home. And then when I got the React job, after the internship, by the way, they made me an offer to work as a contractor. So I did that for a while, and and then eventually I got that React job. And so what I would say is that it depends on what your goal is, but I would say if your goal is to get hired, don't waste time. Take whatever you can, because if you have no job and you become an email developer, now you have a job. If you have a job, then you go better job. But if you have no job and then you try to get the better job, it might be hard and there might be a lot of waiting. And then Sharon says, I read that if you meet all the qualifications for a job listing, you're overqualified. I think maybe the reason I say maybe is because I feel like with a lot of these job qualifications, people just get a bucket, like a trash bucket, and they just put all the hot topics React, GraphQL, API. So they throw it, they shake it, and they throw it on a piece of paper. And that's what they put, the HR department puts out there. And so when you go to an interview, you're like, what the hell's going on here? There was a funny one. There was one job. I forgot what the acronym was, but they use an acronym for a text technology that doesn't exist. And the acronym was not from a technology to do anything with software engineering. It was an acronym for a World Welding Association or something like that. And that was hilarious. Like the HR had no idea what was happening. And yeah, exactly. Christmas wish list with a lot of stuff that they don't even know they need. And Cam says, thanks, Paul. Awesome advice. Maybe I should cross that bridge when I get there. I need to put food on the table for now. Yeah, for sure. And definitely, yeah. And what I would say, go for any related job. There's no shame in that because it all adds up. It all adds up to your resume. I much rather like if someone told me, look, we'll give you this email developer job in 3 months. This is going to pay $40,000 a year. Or you might maybe get a development job that's going to pay $55,000 a year. I'm going to go with the easier thing, the email job, to get it sooner, to make money. And the thing is, sometimes depending where you live, like the market could be difficult. So you have to find these side avenues to how to get there. And so one of my issues I had, just because I was older, like I'm 42 now, but when I was looking for a job at 39, and prior to that, like, you know, I was trying to get hired. It was taking me, and like, I always felt like I'm too old. And I think it's the excuse people were using because I didn't have enough skill or value that I could provide to the company to justify picking me over like my age. Like my skills should be better. If that example makes sense, whatever. It's pretty convoluted, but the idea is like people won't hire you until they hire you, meaning that you show them so much value that they like, oh, we got to hire this guy, right? But if you're not able to showcase that value to them through the projects you built, through being able to talk about the code, maybe you had some articles published, like I mentioned earlier, then they'll be like, oh, you know what? Never mind. Forget it. And so I'm going to give you another big lesson, which I learned from my long time ago. My previous job, I used to own a martial art business, and I had a business partner who was like crazy, but he was smart and he was a genius. And this is before Twitter, before like whatever, before people like, you know, publicly talk about stuff. This is what he said to me. He's like, nobody knows who you are until you show them. And so what he would do is he would like publish articles and then this was like a long time ago. And then he would do press releases for them that talked about how awesome he was, which is kind of stupid and silly. But if you think about it, but when people would read it from like another source, like dev.to, like as an example here, that he didn't write tech articles, I'm just throwing out there. But your authority is perceived by the people based on the perception you exude. And the reality might not even match the perception. That's why there's so many people on Twitter who are these tech influencers who might not be like real good developers. There's nothing wrong with that. They figured out the Twitter thing. That's perfectly fine. But you could present yourself in a way where people will assume like, well, you must be a developer. And so the idea is this combination of having the skill and then being able to present yourself. And this is why I'm really big on this idea of publicly code in public, share on Twitter, tag people. If you build a React project and you run into an issue, you're like, hey, this is a personal project I was building. I fixed it. Whatever, @ React, JS, whatever Twitter uses. And then someone from React might like it. Like I've been sharing my Remix stuff, and you know, people from Remix like my retweet, and then like Can't See Dots, who's like this huge React guy, which is amazing. Like now he knows who I am because he'll like my tweet, and it's building these communities, getting out there is going to, and providing value, by the way. You know, don't just like take, and don't ask stupid questions like JavaScript or Java coffee, or as a developer, when you take a poop, like what happens? I don't know. Like people have stupidity like that on Twitter, but I think don't get caught up in that. Really stick to, okay, what kind of content should I share that if a hiring manager would see, that would be like, hey, I'd like to hire that person. This is a reason, the way I present myself on this channel, and even on Twitter, I have to catch myself because I'm actually pretty funny. I'm not just saying I'm funny. I am a very hilarious person. I can even do accents. Maybe I can't do accents. It's not even an accent. It's like how I speak normally. Like, I'm not even gonna try to do an accent. It's gonna be terrible. But I have some funny things to say, and I could ask some silly questions, but I don't, because I want to make sure that I keep a specific image on my YouTube, specific image on Twitter, because my goal to have these social media things is for me to be able to present myself in a way where if someone who is in a power to hire me sees it, it will be a positive impression. And they'll be like, you know what? I'd love to work with Paul. I hope he sends a resume here. And that's why I do that. Man, though I'm not even gonna try Texas accent. I can't do it. I can't do, not like, yeah, it'll be there. I don't even know. Y'all, that's as Texas as I get. And Walter Ross here. I'm trying to learn web development, just feel so overwhelmed of what I need to learn and how do I know when I should move forward. Yeah, it's a struggle. Like what you're describing is what everybody goes through. What I would say, don't try to learn a lot of stuff. Like I literally now tell people, pick one HTML and CSS course on Udemy and just go through the whole course. Don't try to use other resources. Just stick to what they did. If you notice, like every course that you see on Udemy with HTML, it's very similar to every other course is. And so the idea is just to stay more focused. Howdy partner. I love it. Yeah. So this is a great question. Are you a dev advocate for Strapi? I see a lot of people I've been following become dev advocates. Don't really know what that is. I assume it's talking about the company and their projects. It depends on the company. Yes, I'm a developer advocate. Here's one thing that I will tell you. A developer advocate means many, many things to many people. And I'm going to tell you what it means to me. And when I give my definition of it, that's something I'm striving to. This is not where I'm at. And so I heard this, I have to find who it was. It was this amazing guy did this talk about what a developer advocate is. And his definition of it is somebody who is very, very accomplished as a developer, but is also very good at being able to present the development topics, and is also very good at public speaking and possibly writing. And those two things combined. And so they are really like a unicorn. And I talk to many different people and I see different people get hired for different roles where the level of development could be either here or it could be here, and their social media is here. And so for me personally, and this is something that I strive to do at Strapi, is to be super involved with the engineers. We have this amazing engineer, Derek. I said to Derek, I'm like, bro, I need to code more. Like code enough, but I want to code more. And I want to constantly every day get a deeper understanding of how Strapi works on the API level, how it works on the back end. And I said, every week we have to meet for 1 hour and we have to talk about deeper aspects of the code so I understand it. So I'm not just repeating somebody else's talking points, but I could think about when people ask me a question and possibly know the answer. And that comes from deep understanding of code. And I see that a lot of people as DevRels, I don't know where they sit on that path. But for me personally, I want to be best developer that I can be and also be able to communicate clearly. I don't want to be here, or I don't mind being just a developer, by the way. I do miss coding because I am like, I sound extroverted on YouTube. It's fake. I pretend to be this extroverted, but I'm introverted. When I sit home, like this takes a lot of effort for me to be this wild. And a lot of people say, oh, when you're introverted, you wouldn't be this loud. No. Introverted means that you can't be like, but it drains you mentally so much that you literally have to rest. I remember after one live stream, I was just like, man, I can't, I gotta stop. And I actually canceled. That was actually last week. I canceled the Saturday live stream. But what I'm saying is that as I was saying that I could be a developer and be happy and just sit at my computer for 8 hours a day. But in my opinion, a DevRel is someone who has to be high level both. And that's how I think about it. But, and that's something, I'm not there, but that's something I strive for. But I think every company has different needs. So they might need someone who's just better at social media, because they might have a lot of developers that share the thing. But for me, it's boom, boom, up there. Anyway, I went out of my mind here. But DevRel, it's not an easy job, what I'm finding out. I'm not like super stressed out, but the responsibilities I have at work, like, oh my God. Like at first I was like, DevRel and Strapi, my favorite company. DevRel and Strapi, my favorite company. In some ways, it's easier to be just a developer, especially if you like code. But I still like love it. I'm going to stay there until like as long as I can, and do that. And Sharon is still, I appreciate it. This is why I love the community, to keep me real. So like, it must have been like a year already, at least 6 months, where Sharon called me out on lorem ipsum in my, I think it's at paulbrzlowski.com, my portfolio. site that doesn't even have my portfolios. But I use lorem ipsum, and I just never had the chance to go back and change it to this day. And I always use it. And you know what? I'm going to leave it, not because I'm lazy. No, it's because I'm lazy. I just don't do it. But I'm going to make a better excuse. It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I will tell you that done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. So if you try to get something out there and you're like, man, like I need to get something out there. You know, I need to have a resume website. I needed to do something like, and I bet it's this, yes. It's like, just get out there. Look, I have this. It, for the most part, is good enough. It gets the job done. This is kind of like my resume thing. I have to update it. I now work at Strappy. I'm no longer at Red Hug Research. I started Strappy in April, and I'm still there. Fantastic. And so, by the way, there's other things that don't work. The contact form still doesn't work. I have to hook it up to Netlify. I didn't. I'm just being honest. And this is Sharon referring here to lorem ipsum. And so to me, like, listen, done better than perfect. Get it out there. You could fix all the mistakes later, you know, and get it done. Get it done. And so that's it. And you should all have like a LinkedIn, you know, very important, you know. LinkedIn is super cool. Why is that LinkedIn is broken? It doesn't show my picture unless I sign in. Is that crazy? Look, there's my picture. People should see my picture, but you should have a LinkedIn defined and stuff like that. You should have a GitHub. If you have some people say nice things about you, that's kind of cool, I guess. And yeah, so anyway, I'm like digressing. Sharon says, I can't talk, mine isn't ready. Just put it out there. Put it out there and then fix it. By the way, when you put it out there, you might have more motivation to fixing it because you'll be like, oh, it's out there. People are going to see it. I'm going to keep my lorem ipsum for now. And then one day, it'll be like the running joke for like next 10 years. You know, it's like, Paul's been working at blah, blah. He started his own company and he still has lorem ipsum on his goddamn like personal website that he built. By the way, this was the easiest website to build because I went to Bootstrap Made and I just got this template and fill in my beautiful information. And that's something I recommend people do when you're starting out. They want to have a resume site. And kind of let's come back here. And %, Simon knows what's up. Like I need a like button on comments. I need to like, how do I like and thumb up? Yeah. John Smilga, and I actually, in all of my description videos, like if you look at the description for the stream, you're going to see a bunch of John Smilga courses. I love every course that he did. I took most of the courses that he made. Maybe like 3 of them I didn't take, but definitely recommend him as an instructor. And that's one of the reasons I haven't created any courses, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do better than what John Smigla already created. And so, you know, like, that's why I recommend his courses. This is why I don't make my courses. I'm much rather code the projects that I like on live stream and answer questions that way. But to make a like course, like John Smigla's courses did it better than I could ever do it at the time. But you know, if there was someone to make a remix and Strappy course, maybe that would be an idea for John Smilga and Paul Braslovsky to make a remix Strappy course. That would be a good idea. I don't know. Maybe we should go bug him. Tell him that he should do that. I used to, mentorship is good. And I used to do a lot of mentorship. By the way, while everybody who's sticking around here, let me share something with you here. I have a coding community that I have to be involved more, to be honest, but it's free to get in. And when I say free, it's not free in a sense, it's free, like means you don't have to pay anything, but, hold on, let me look it up. The way it's free, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. So anybody could join, but there is a prerequisite. You have to have at least a GitHub or a project that you showcase somewhere on GitHub or on Netlify, and you have to email it to me and share with me, because I want people that are actually interested in coding to join the community that already started the process, rather than me just inviting anybody. But I'll show you the community, and I'll share my email. So if anybody would like to, here we go. Let me share my screen. So we have this circle. I don't even know what the website, I'll share it. Like, just email me at codingafter30@gmail.com. I'll send you my email. Send me that you want to join, and send me either your GitHub or your project that you're working on. And if you don't have a GitHub, set one up and send me that. Like, at least go through the process of setting up GitHub on GitHub, and send it to me, and I will give you access. But it's codingafter30@gmail.com. And so I have to be involved a little bit more here. I'm so like time stressed, but I am trying to make my way to be back here. But it's a great time, great hangout. So if you want to join and work with each other, and at some point in the future, within the next few months, not that long, within probably in September, I'm gonna start doing a live live Q&A with everybody who's a member here. So I think it'll be fun to do, and it'll be either before the stream or after the stream. So definitely send me an email, codingafter30@gmail.com. Send me your GitHub info, or create one, or share a project, and we'll go from there. I got to figure out how to put my phone on do not disturb, because my music is running through my phone, but I digress. So I think like we had like a really great chat. If you missed the first part, this was an awesome stream. Definitely go check it out if you started late. But I do these streams every Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time, and go to Coding Addict. Let me actually see if I could find it before I go YouTube. I am later doing a live stream with John Smilga on his channel, Coding Addict. So let's see if I could find the link. Coding Addict. Yeah, so it's going to be the Power Hour live stream. Let me get a link here. How do I share? Make it easy, shareable. Share. Add to queue. I want to share. Share. Copy. Man, I don't even know how to share stuff. This is ridiculous. Yeah, check it out. It's going to be later today. It's going to be a lot of awesome. And Simon is emailing me. Yeah, I'm going to later check. I'll add everybody who emails me to the community. And definitely join us on the live stream at Power Hour. And yeah, this is cool. I actually, let me share this. Yes, actually, I'm not going to share. You got to be part of the community. But Spiral made a pretty cool video of how to get started with Strappy in 2 clicks. And I actually never seen the approach that he used. It was pretty awesome. So you got to see cool stuff with the people that engage in the community. So we could send me an email, codingafter30@gmail.com. Send me your GitHub, and we could do that. But with that being said, I know we passed the hour, and it's 2:30 a.m. for Engine Boy. And man, thank you for chilling and staying this long. Really appreciate it. But we're going to call it a day for today. You could always rewatch the stream at any time. And then I started, when I get a chance later today, tomorrow, I'm going to add the chapters to make it easier for people to navigate the streams when they want to rewatch them, whenever they want. So go and do so. But with that being said, thank you very much for everything. Really appreciate all of you. Such a great time, such a great community. I'm so happy to be part of your community, because literally without you, I wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. The rest of the weekend, great day, great evening, everything else. And I will see you either later today at Coding Addict stream, or I will see you on the next stream here. So Friday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time, coding stuff. And then Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Central Time, doing stuff. No, thank you. Thank you, Cyril. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Engine Boy. Thank you, everybody. I'm always smiling when I watch. You make me smile too. I'm always excited. Simon, it was awesome to have you here. Kev Dev, Kevin R, thank you for being here, everybody. Monique, awesome times. You know, Engine Boy, of course, thank you for a super awesome like project that we shared. You know, Walter was here. A lot of people, so many people to thank. But anyway, with that being said, have a great day, everyone. Great evening, great night, and I'll see you in the next one.